guests today grew up on television, sort of like moi, and they grew up on some of our favorite shows, also sort of like moi. And they are going to tell us what it is like to be a kid with make-believe brothers and sisters, an adult salary, and instant fame. First, we have from TV's most lovable suburban family, the Brady Bunch. Please help me welcome TV siblings Greg and Cindy Brady themselves, Barry Williams and Susan Olsen. Don't you love those stairs? Next, from a TV family that was led by a single parent way before anybody ever heard of Murphy Brown, please welcome Family Affairs Sissy and Jody Davis, better known as Johnny Whitaker, and Kathy Garver. You guys, really good to see you. Such a blast. Blast from the past. Next from a show about some folks who were equally funny, whether they were at home or getting bad service at their favorite restaurant hangout. Roger and Dee Thomas of What's Happening in Real Life. They are Ernest Thomas and Danielle Spencer. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And listen, last but not least, from a show about a family that was so big that they could actually buy mayonnaise at the Price Club and use it all. I am talking about 8 is Enough, and they are TV siblings Mary and David Bradford, Lani O'Grady, and Grant Goodeve.
Hi. Thank you very much.
Look at this. We could play musical chairs and have a really good game here today, couldn't we? Well, let's talk first about your characters. What were they like, say, compared to you? What was your...
Well, in some ways, I got to do things on the Brady Bunch that I didn't get to do at home. That is, I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and on the show, I was the oldest of 6. So I learned all the tricks of how to take advantage and tease and get my younger siblings to do things, and I used the 5 years doing that.
I bear witness. This is sort of kind of a get even kind of a deal here?
Exactly. It was fun. I had this whole playground.
Yeah? You hated your character? Is that correct?
Well, you know, if you really think about it, a lot of the things that Cindy said, I mean, they were cute, everything, but if you really think about it, it's almost like she was retarded. I mean, really, you know, there are a lot of dumb things, and the problem was that I would have to go back to public school. I was always so grateful that the show was on Friday, because hopefully people would forget what happened over the weekend. And I go to public school on Monday, and they go, "You're so stupid, I can't believe what you said."
So you were nothing like your character whatsoever, huh?
Well, I wasn't that dramatically different, but, you know, being very sensitive and young, I got very sensitive to the things that she had to do that, like tattling on her siblings. You know, that's something I would never have done.
And the kids are cruel at school because they don't know that you're different than your character, that you're just saying lines. They think that's who you are, and you got to write your own lines.
What about you, Johnny?
Well, Jody, I was Johnny before I was Jody, but I mean, I was 6 years old when I started. So
yeah.
I didn't know much different. So I think the character and me kind of became one as I was growing up because, you know, but when I went home, the difference was I've got 5 sisters and 2 brothers that, you know, changed me back to me when I was back home.
Were you a little cocky, were you think?
You'd have to ask my sister that.
Yeah.
I think our show was basically written around our basic characters. Although I was 18 at the time, I thought I was far more sophisticated than the 15-year-old I was supposed to be playing. And I hate to say that the show was in the 60s, to show how old we are now, but...
And the 70s.
Yes, and the 70s, but we wore miniskirts, and I was always saying, I want to wear a miniskirt, and they were always saying, oh, no, this will date the show, you can't wear miniskirts, and I held out for a couple things, so I felt more sophisticated, but there was a lot of me that was sissy. She was rather wholesome and sweet, and I still am. No, am I, Johnny?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
You are. You look just the same.
They sound the same, too, don't they?
Yes, they do. and look remarkably the
But I've got
same.
hair on my chest.
And you're tall.
I didn't know my little brother anymore.
Ernest, are you anything like your character at all?
Well, no, I was a saint, and no, honestly,
On the show you were.
no, in real life.
Oh, in real life you were.
No, in real life, no, because I was, you know, raised in the Church of God in Christ, and was very strict, and you were called a saint of the church when you reached a certain level. So it wasn't that you couldn't go to movies or dance or curse or any of those things, and so. Or television or movies, anything. Even watching the Ten Commandments. They said, oh, Ernie, went to see the Ten Commandments.
How'd you end up in show business?
I had this longing since I had asthma for 18 years and watching Lucille Ball and Make Room for Daddy and all those shows, being in the hospital bed, just, you know, vicariously, my imagination, I always wanted to be there. Never had the guts to do it until college. And so Raj gave me the chance to be funny, always what I wanted to be, because Lucille Ball was my hero, so I could be silly and crazy and make people laugh, and so I loved that character.
Boy, your family must have thought you were just out in left field. Huh?
Oh, yeah. My mother thought no, really, she thought it was the devil's work. The devil's work. My mother said, who voodooed you and got you into that madness? And because she's a Baptist missionary. So it wasn't until really the second show, What's Happening Now, that Danielle and Haywood and all of them convinced her to come, and she only came one time because in her mind, only Jesus is supposed to get that much attention. So it's like...
And she didn't want to get that curse, whatever it is.
You're not, why do you know, not to worship you. I said, Mom, they're not worshiping me. They really like me. So now she finally understands that it's a good service when people come up and say, you made me laugh, I was depressed, or, you know, and so she understands.
That's funny. Danielle, I didn't even recognize you because you're all grown up.
I know. Well, I don't know. I think I look the same.
You do.
I certainly sound the same.
You do.
Whenever I talk, it gives it away.
You do, but I just stared at you for the longest time. And I go, isn't it amazing how they just grow up? Were you anything like your character?
No, not at all.
What was your character like?
She was, I wouldn't say she was bratty. I mean, she felt the need, you know, to tell on people when they were doing wrong. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But the fact is, most sister and brother relationships, I mean, a lot of that goes on. And maybe because at the time that I was doing the show, I didn't have anyone to rat on, you know. So maybe I wasn't like Dee at all.
In real life, you didn't have any rat. You have no siblings.
Well, now I do. I have a younger brother, and actually he's trying to take that position. The position I had is...
How old is he now?
He's 16.
Oh, so he's at a good ratting on you age.
Well, he's past that stage. We're at that little junction right now where we're understanding, well, we're both young adults, and we don't do that sort of stuff.
We're trying to. How old are you, do you say?
I'm sorry?
Do you say how old you are, or are you old enough that you don't say anymore?
I try to forget.
She does.
I'm over 25.
Yeah. I've never understood that, why women lie in reverse about their age. Why do we do that?
Why do we say we're younger?
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting to the age now that I want to tell my age because, hell, you look pretty good for being that old. Yeah. You know, because before I say,
what is
why
it, Kathy?
is that?
Blurt it on out. Well, no, I've never understood it. Like, if I said I was 35, people would go, oh, looking a little shaky. But if I said I'm 50, people would go, oh, she looks great for 50.
Exactly.
I agree with you. Totally. Well, but you just figure it out.
Marty, you look great for your age, Vicki.
I never understood it. Grant, were you anything like your character on 8 is Enough, do you think?
No, not really. You can ask my wife. David was he was the oldest brother, and I think he fit that role well in the sense that he was a pretty stable, trustworthy guy.
Sort of seems like you.
Now, yeah, maybe. He was the kind of guy you came to for advice and all that kind of stuff. And I think back then I was probably the last person you wanted to come to for advice. Or you could come to me for advice and then do the opposite. That would probably be good. But David also was an extremely, gifted carpenter and stuff like that. And that's not a gift of mine. You don't want me to try to fix anything in your house.
Okay. So. Lani, were you anything like your character at all on TV?
Yes, I was. Very much.
Were you? Yeah. You're the only one here. You're the only one who's fessing up to be like your...
You're a doctor?
No, I wasn't a doctor. I was very strong and...
Still are strong, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
Very much. very much so. And I felt the impulse to care.
Yeah, Mary always had a lot of compassion for
Yes,
for
she
people
did.
and things, and felt the most deeply and emotionally about whether it was the loss of mom or anything like that.
Right, and she felt compassion for her siblings and for her father.
Well, we're gonna take a little break now, but later on in the show, two of my guests are going to get a wonderful surprise. And coming up next, growing up in the spotlight. We'll be back in a minute. Are actually coming back into vogue.
That's scary.
We're back with Barry Williams and Susan Olsen from the Brady Bunch. God. Johnny Whitaker and Kathy Garver from Family Affair. Ernest Thomas and Danielle Spencer from What's Happening and from What's Happening Now. And Grant Goodeve and Lani O'Grady from 8 is Enough. And this is our sibling reunion. I was asking if singing and dancing was a part of your audition, and you said no. You just sort of blossomed into this fabulous
Kind of evolved. Back then, in the early 70s, the Cowsills were popular, the Osmond Brothers were popular, the Partridge Family had come out, and we liked to sing and dance, despite what our sort of limited abilities were. And
you guys looked pretty good there.
And back then, you could tell a man by the width of his bell bottoms and the length of his collar.
It's all coming back in, and it's frightening me.
It is.
Now, how old were you guys when you were on the show?
Started when I was 14, and we were almost 20 when we finished.
Yeah,
Lordy.
For me, I was 7.
Is this yours?
That's mine. It has my name on it. The teacher on the set put my name on there in masking tape, and I can't get it off. So I guess that makes it more of a collector's item.
Francis
Yes,
Whitfield?
Francis did it.
Is that hysterical? And this is you, Kathy?
Well, that was a while ago. I would like to be like that now, but yes, this is a paper doll of Sissy.
And you can be.
Oh,
As
thank
soon
you.
as I invent the home liposuction machine.
I'll be your first client.
I know you won't. I will.
And this is, what is this?
This is Buffy and the New Girl, and Sissy, and you didn't make it into this book. Johnny was in other books.
Did you save all this stuff, or did somebody from our staff find this?
No, I have all this stuff. This is actually from my husband's job. Now I live in San Francisco, and this is what is in the hate these days. This is Buffy, Jody, and Sissy. This is, too, like a West Hollywood sweatshirt, but
This is new, then.
This is new. This is 1992.
How come
See, this
Sissy
is
has an
actually
X?
out of order.
Hysterical. Yeah, now why is there an X by
Well,
Sissy?
I'll explain it to you, Barry, later.
I get it.
Oh, I get it. Think about it.
That's my lunch
Or perhaps you're thinking faster than I am. This is
This is a
a
family affair
lunchbox.
And there's Anissa and I singing. Let's entertain you.
Oh, you guys, this is hysterical.
Show and tell.
You were how old?
I started when I was 6 till I was 11.
Wow. And you were a teenager.
I was 18, being a 15-year-old.
Ernie, you and Danielle, you were really young.
10.
Yeah, I was about 12.
Were you really only 12 when that? Get out of here. Stop it. Get out. How old were you? You were a teenager. Were you a teenager?
Sure.
You two were teenagers?
I was 25.
18.
You were 25. You were an old
We all
man.
look young.
I'm 53 now.
But what is it like for you all when you're in school dealing with your peers when you become instantly famous?
I was always, when I went to school, I was already Jody. So the first day, I was always the teacher's pet. Because at least for me, I was always going to school on the set, and then for 3 months out of the year when we were on hiatus, then I went to public school. And so for those 3 months, I was the teacher's pet, and everybody loved me, and except the kids. They didn't like me. But
was that the same for most of you, that you, for 3 months, you had to go to school in a regular school, so you're thrust back into the mainstream and is it horrible? Is that like punishment?
Not at all.
It's not, it's gotta be.
No, not at all.
When I went to high school, there were a lot of movie stars, kids, and you know, maybe other child stars that went there. So I didn't really have a problem. Actually, because I went to Malibu Park Junior High, so it was around that time. Yeah.
Malibu?
Well, at that time. No, I was trying to think.
That's how you keep that tan.
Kids would mostly just avoid us, or at least they kind of avoided me because they didn't know how to deal with it. We were famous, we were on television, and then you kind of walk into the classroom and they're uncomfortable with it. And I was uncomfortable with them because I wasn't hanging with my own friends. We were in kind of an adult world at the studio, at the set, and those were the people that I knew and who I could relate to the best.
Those were your friends?
Yeah.
But it's a challenge, though, and I found that the easiest way to deal with it, because my parents wanted to put me into a private school, and I adamantly was opposed to that because I didn't want to grow up abnormally, and I wanted to...
Too late.
Where did you go wrong? What happened, Susan?
But, you know, it's a matter of attitude. If you go in there, you kind of have to go in assuming that you're nobody, because everybody's going to expect you to be stuck up.
That's not possible, is it? To go back to school and be nobody?
It takes a lot of effort.
well, even to this day, I get stories from people who said they pantsed me in the 7th grade.
That they what?
Pants.
You
Seventh. Yeah. Well, no, they pulled my pants down and threw it up over the. You know, because they wanted to say that they did that to Jody. But they never did. Nobody ever did. But I did get beat up going home from school one day because I lived in an interesting neighborhood. But I was able to talk my way out of it. But, I mean, you know, it's not that, I mean, anyway.
I think it does affect you emotionally. I used to be a very outgoing, hi, how are you kind of person. But then when everybody recognizes you, you kind of, oh, hi. And I became very shy, you know. And then it takes time to work back out again to be able to say, hi, how are you? Just as a regular person.
Yeah, how hard is it for you when you're young people to become celebrities and have to share yourselves and deal with...
Well, the first time someone asked me for an autograph, I said, well, you don't want my autograph. Why do you want my autograph? Who am I? But then it made someone happy, so I thought, okay.
You know, I'll tell you, it's very funny. When I got on the Burnett show, I was 18, and I went... Why is that funny, Ernie?
No, this is the way, no, because you're funny.
It's hard to believe I was ever that young.
We just remembering the show that we loved.
No, I was just going to say that I went back to my old high school neighborhood and went out to dinner after the show was on the air with my best girlfriend. And we went to our old favorite haunt and to a movie. And we went out for a burger afterwards, and somebody came up and asked me for my autograph. And she just sat there looking at me like, well, who the hell do you think you are? Right.
Yeah.
I said, this kid just wants my... I'm nobody. I really am not. And you know, it ruined our friendship.
Yeah.
It spoils your friends.
I lost her friendship because she thought that I had a big head, and I didn't.
It's difficult to deal with the jealousy factor, I think. Very much so.
Yeah.
You know what else makes a difference is how your popularity of your show is. If the show is popular, then people respond to you one way. Now, our show's been through a bunch of different stages, and so, like, for a while, it was, like, not cool to be a Brady. So, like, people would come in and they'd just point and laugh at you. You walk in the Yeah, but now it's more affectionate, I think.
Oh,
then it comes back.
It is real cool to be a Brady now.
And now it's cool again.
That's nice.
Yeah. We're going to take a little break again, but when we do come back, a surprise visit from an old family friend. We'll be back in a minute.
You never forget that.
See you later, Mom. All right, Don, but look, don't stay out too late. All right.
But, Raj, aren't you going to study for that big test in Miss Collins' class so you can get a good mark?
Get back here, Roger.
Oh, Mama, today is Wednesday. The test isn't until Friday.
No soda shop. You're going to stay here and study. And you should have a thank you for your sister's concern.
Oh, I do. As soon as we have a moment alone, I'll give it to her.
Now, so considering that it wasn't really easy to integrate with the real world people, you probably were each other's best friends, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
I think that's what saved us on the Brady Bunch, is that we had each other to relate to and to talk to. And when you're going through an unusual experience, if you've got people that that are going through it with you, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, who had a question over here? Yeah, stand up.
I have a question for Grant. Were there any off-screen romances on your show?
Ooh.
Oh, my God.
Off-screen
Not with me.
Oh, my gosh.
But all the other kids, it was terrible. Mainly had to, counsel them on what was going on.
Now,
You mean between with the kids?
yeah.
Nothing serious.
Oh, stop
Don't tell them, Lani.
it. Stop it. Were you two romantically involved ever?
Huh?
My wife's here. She wants to know.
Were you two ever romantically involved? None of the kids ever?
No.
I think Willie and Connie dated for a while.
Is it because you're just all too close and too small a group that you just don't do stuff like that?
Or you don't tell each other.
Well, I tell you one thing. At least we were at the set at 6:30. We got off at 6:30. And you go to bed at 10 p.m. By then, you are so exhausted. You're with somebody all that time. So you hang out with them a little. You certainly, we didn't see each other on weekends or go any place because you're with them for so long. So you only have that little bit of time. I did make a clove orange with John one time in the schoolroom.
You made a what?
Oh, you stick cloves in an orange, and it makes a nice, sweet-smelling thing that you can put in your lingerie or your towel drawer or any place like that. This is a little handy hint.
And my dad.
Well, how romantic.
My dad was a school teacher, but he taught industrial arts and crafts. And during the summer, when we were doing work, he would be on the set and would bring wood and other things. So then all of us would play with the wood and the things during the
That's
break.
not too romantic either.
Well, now,
Well, if there was no
very incestuous.
If there was no romance, were there practical jokes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. What'd you guys do?
Well, Danielle, she said she wasn't like her character, but there were times when the character, Danielle has a little D in her. And I remember Thalmus, who played my father on the show, I asked him, how did you get started in show business? He says, well, I played Cornelius in Hello, Dolly. So she comes up to me, she hears the conversation, and she says, did you say you played Cornelius in Planet of the Apes?
You were a rotten
She just laughed
child,
right
weren't
there in
you?
his face.
You were just a rotten child. Who else had a question up here? Yeah, stand up.
Hi, Barry and Susan. With Robert Reed's death, will there be any more reunion movies? And also, whatever happened to the little kid that played the cousin Oliver in the series?
Right. I'll take the first part. Robert Reed passed away late last year, and that is not going to slow Paramount down. If they decide to make another reunion, they'll make it anyway. In fact, they announced plans at one point to make a Brady Bunch the movie. I don't know what the status of it is right now, but yes, they'd go ahead. In fact, I think we're all going to be recast, so you'll be seeing a whole new group.
They'll recast the movie?
They want to set it in the 70s, from what I understand, and I told them that I could play a teenager. That what's a couple of decades for an actor? But I know they want to set it with a new cast of kids.
Bummer. What was the other part of the question? The cousin?
Robbie Wrist. Yeah, I keep in touch with Robbie Wrist somewhat. And he's a musician, and he's in a band called Wonder Boy, and doing quite well.
Well, now, as long as we're on the subject of Robert Reed, can we talk about whether he actually permed his hair? Did you all do the perming?
I
do that perming deal?
You
didn't.
No, it looked like all the Bradys got permed there for a while.
Yeah.
Like one year we came in with hair like kind of straight, and then the next season we started up with all with curly hair. And that was just for us, for Chris and for myself, that was just teenage hormones kicking in. And the jury's out on Robert Reed. He tells me no. And I asked him several times. He tells me no, but he'd show up in a set.
There was something in the water over there that just curled your hair?
Well, we went to Hawaii, and it was and he says it was the humidity.
Oh, yeah, right.
Hey, this is what he said. So
this is natural, though.
And this is natural.
I know. Behind the scenes, what went on? What went on at Family Affair? Did you guys have fun there?
Well, as I said, there was an age discrepancy, but I was trying to figure out if I was a child or a grown-up still. So I would hang out in the kids' schoolroom and, as I say, make the orange things or do puzzles. And then I would go out and try and talk to Brian. We didn't quite get through there. Or Sebastian.
What was Brian like to work with? Because he was one of those guys that I always thought he was a great father figure.
He was a great guy. He is a great guy. And he's always been a friend. And for me, Sebastian was more reserved And we would talk to him, and he wouldn't play games with us, but he would give us little toys and little things under the table that nobody ever knew about, whereas Brian would pick us up and put us on his shoulders and run us around the set and, you know, be that kind of a guy.
So he was sort of a father figure, sort of.
Oh, yeah, he was a great guy.
What about on 8 is Enough? Father figure, would you say, was Dick?
You'd say yes, I might say no. I don't know.
I think he was more of a friend.
Yeah.
And
kind of a funny uncle.
Very much, yeah.
Your comical uncle,
very
huh?
good
Who had a question over here? Yeah, stand up.
I'd like to ask Danielle and Ernest how often y'all get a chance to see Dwayne in rerun?
We just saw Haywood last night, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, today. Saw him today.
Oh, you
Rest
saw
of
him
the
today?
cast.
Okay.
The rest of the cast?
I don't see Fred that much. Mom.
Speak to Shirley quite often. She calls me while I'm down at school, and she says, I'm in Maui now. Wouldn't you like to be here? Or, you know, I'm in Palm Springs.
She's not. She's
having a
in
good
L.A.
time.
right now. Here's
Yeah.
Shirley Hemphill. Let's bring her in and get some dirt. On Danielle and Ernest and on everybody, I guess. We'll be back in just a minute. Hi, everybody. Call and let me know what you think about my show. Don't spare my feelings. I'm a big girl. I can take it. And if you say something nice, maybe you'll even be a guest on the show. Just call 1-900-28-VICKY. That's 1-900-288-4254. Call costs 75 cents, and you must be at least 18 to call.
Mom, is Mr. William Davis at home, please?
Whom shall I say called, madam?
Well, I'm Mrs. Grayson, and this is Mr. Davis's niece.
Good heavens. I am a man.
Olsen. They played Greg and Cindy Brady on the Brady Bunch. Johnny Whitaker and Kathy Garver, who played Jody and Sissy Davis on Family Affair. Ernest Thomas, Danielle Spencer, who played Roger and Dee on What's Happening. And Grant Goodeve and Lani O'Grady, who played David. And Mary Bradford on 8 is Enough. And Shirley Hemphill. Did we surprise you with Shirley?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And they've been sitting there lying their butts off. Vicki, let me tell you. I know he was Christian and all that, but how many times did you put your hand on my breast? Vicki, his hand was on me so much, I thought he had a note from God. Vicki, his nickname is Snake. Tell him that.
Oh, you were a saint.
No. And I always want to show his little beans and weenies. Vicki.
Ernie, your mother is never going to fix you now. You know it? She will
Until
never.
we got him in show business. And then he just went buck crazy.
It's the devil.
And Miss Thing here, Miss Thing right here, for some reason she likes salt a lot. And we had pretzels. Remember those?
Yeah.
And she would go lick the salt off the pretzels, put them back in the bag, and take off running. You grab a handful of those things, and you go, Danielle? She behind the curtain going,
Well, it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun over there.
I'm telling you, I was the only one, and I was my age. Everybody else was so young. I ain't gonna lie, I was my age. Everybody was a teenager. Brother, please. Anyhow, this man has several master's degrees, so he's not 12 years old. End of that subject. Danielle was her age. Dwayne was his age. End of story.
Were you always in stitches like this when she was around on the set, you guys?
Yes. Shirley is...
Everyone.
I think really
Shirley, Haywood, they all just kept you in stitches.
We had a good relationship.
Are you still doing your stand-up?
Yeah, and we get on each other's nerves sometimes, but that's when you had dressing rooms. See, you go to your dressing room
and slam the
door.
door.
You come back, yeah.
You're still doing the stand-up deal?
Yes, I am.
Are you?
And I was like, can I just say, I think
you don't
Shirley...
pay enough for this, Vicki.
If you're gonna...
Don't even ask, Vicki. Don't even ask. Go on to the next question, baby. You try to sneak up on someone. No, Vicki. No, Vicki, honey.
Yeah, wouldn't we all like to see her do a
I don't know, Shirley. You got anything clean enough for us? I guess not.
So y'all got something to look forward to.
Can I just say one thing, Vicki?
What? You say it quickly.
Okay, she's the funniest woman. I think she's one of the funniest, if not the funniest woman in the world.
I am, really.
Shirley.
You know what I want to talk to all of you about is transitioning out of your roles. How do you start growing out of being a Brady kid?
It's not easy. You know, in most businesses, if you get an early start, it's an advantage, and you can move on to the next thing, to the next step, to the next step. In show business, it doesn't work that way. Most people that make that transition do it despite the fact that they were ever in show business or that they became identified with a particular role or character. It's almost like in the business, it's not who you are, it's who people think you are. And so here we are. We started our show 25 years ago. 25 years ago, and people still will come up, I know, and say, hi, Cindy, or hi, Greg. And so it's kind of a question of evolving, I think. And I've been lucky to have theater, and I've spent a lot of time in New York and traveling and in regionals and that kind of stuff. And that's what's been keeping me busy when I can't get jobs in television.
Who else has had a hard time?
I was really lucky, though, because after Family Affair, I went on to do Walt Disney movies, and then I did Tom Sawyer and a couple other series. So I was, you know, pretty lucky in the fact that people still recognize me as Jody, but I got the opportunity to do other things, which Lani's mother, Mary Grady, who was my agent at the time, kept me going. Even while I was doing Family Affair, I did Bewitched and other shows so that people in the industry would know that I was more than just Jody.
What about as an adult?
As an adult, I can't get arrested.
A kid to an adult. That's the tough one. You can stay busy as a kid.
Why is that, you guys?
Because people typecast you and they expect you to be a certain thing. I recently did a guest star part because I had a talk show for a while here in Los Angeles, and of course I was cast as a talk show hostess because they had seen me in that role. Well, obviously this is a talk show hostess, and that is the role I played on Matlock. And it is so funny. It's just the rationale that people have.
And I'm not going to get a job as a 7-year-old, you know.
No, probably
Can you
not.
still act like one?
I sure can.
I want to talk to you guys more about this. We have to take a break right now, and we're going to see how the cast, the Family Affair cast, got lost in Spain, and they never even left the studio. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, you got a video camera, or you know somebody who does? Well, turn that camera on yourself and tape your thoughts or ideas in 30 seconds or less, and we may even play your tape on the air. Send it to us at 3000 West Alameda Avenue, room 2977, Burbank, California, 91523.
We're back with TV siblings from the Brady Bunch, from Family Affair, from What's Happening, and from 8 is Enough. I want to talk to you more about segueing out of being a child actor. Why is it you can't get arrested, Johnny?
Well, some of our contemporaries have been, but...
Yes, much to their dismay.
But I don't know. There's a certain mindset of big people in the industry who think they know more than everybody else, or God, and believe that their belief is right and they have to be a certain way. And like Brian said, I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he went to be before some younger generation producers and telling him how to act and how to do a show, and he said those little guys didn't know anything. And it was true. I mean, you know, he knew what the dramatic form was, what acting was, and these people would say, well, this is the formula that you have to follow.
Is it because the people running the studios grew up with you? So that's the way is that what it is, do you think?
But it doesn't hold all the way through, because there are a lot of child actors that have made the transition, and they've gone on to become very famous. Jodie Foster and Drew Barrymore is doing more now. I personally, after some problems, but I mean, I think a lot of it depends on attitude. I personally went to London and went to RADA just so I could get more of a base of my craft after I'd been working since I was 3 years old. But you're thrust into a situation in front of millions of people, and you kind of just learn it by hurry up and stand on your line, stand on your mark and learn your lines, and then that's what you do. So I went back and got an underpinning, did theater, and now I think you really have to stay active in a lot of the different areas. You can't just do TV or movies. There's voiceovers, there's radio, there's producing, there's narration. I think that the whole industry has opened up a lot. So if you're not like at the forefront, a lot of people think, well, if you're not starring in your own TV series, you're not working. But in fact, I mean, a lot of us are working and doing a lot of interesting things and are quite successful at it. We just are not, I'm not Sissy doing them, and this is Jody doing them.
The impression is if you're not on a television. Who was who did I read was talking about talking to the checker, the checkout stand in the market? And
I was at a market just about a week ago, and there was someone was checking a price of an item. So I was talking with the checkout girl, and she says, "Hi, I recognize you from the Brady Bunch. What are you doing now?" And we had some time, so I don't usually run through my resume. But I said, well, it's been a really good year. I've been out with a national tour of City of Angels for a year that's just finished, and I had a book that came out, Growing Up Brady, which has done pretty well. And I'm going to be on a special for NBC, Spy 100 Countdown tomorrow night, and I'm getting ready to go to Goodfield, Illinois to start on a new play called The Paisley Convertible. And she said, so are you still in the business? They just don't see it. They just don't. And I said, well, not really, you know. But I felt better because I was watching Rob Reiner being interviewed, and after 4 of the most successful movies in 8 or 10 years, people still go up to him and call him Meathead.
Or when are you going to act again?
Yeah. Too bad about getting typecast.
Why? Yeah. Ernie, tell us about your experience auditioning for. You were in Malcolm X.
Yes, that was again because of that character who we all love, but you know, creatively it can kill you. So when I would ask for an audition, they said no because he's funny, but no, this is a serious role, and blah, blah, blah. And my manager had to go and say, well, I'm going to go to Spike Lee personally. Then the lady said not even 5 minutes, you know. Now I love her, but after 4 callbacks it took before they finally, and basically I just made them small and God large and put everything in the proper perspective. Because we're so in awe of the industry, and everything becomes bigger than life when really God is bigger than all of it, and that way you bridle that success.
You're like Carol says, when you go into an audition, just picture everybody sitting on a toilet.
Yes.
She always says,
yes,
yeah. We have to take a break, but what are our TV siblings up to today? We're going to find out more about that when we come back. Do you remember your first love? Then you won't want to miss our show when we reunite couples who've been separated but have not forgotten that special first love on the next Vicki.
Brother Minister, I have to level with you. They gave me a mission, but I couldn't do it. I love y'all.
What kind of mission?
To wire your car so it would explode when you turn the ignition.
We're back, and we're reminiscing with reunited brothers and sisters from some of our favorite classic TV shows. Is that your dream, to be a serious actor, Ernie?
Yes, it really is. And because I went to the American Academy, and you know, I played a gang leader my first time out, and it's like, you do comedy, everyone goes, yeah, I just don't see you doing anything serious, you know.
But this is a nice
But this is, this Spike Lee, God bless him, I lose it if you talk about Spike.
Where you?
Don't start talking
about Spike. He's the quietest man.
But thank God Spike gave me a beautiful break.
Yeah, no, that's a nice one. Now, Grant, you segued sort of nicely there. You went up to Seattle and got yourself on Northern Exposure, yeah?
Well, no, it's interesting because I actually quit.
Quit the business?
Quit the business about 3.5 years ago, and moved up there, and then lo and behold, Northern Exposure moved in down the street, and there was a casting call for Maggie to have a boyfriend. So I thought, well, the kids do have to eat, It's a nice idea. Nice idea to leave show business, but I better work. And I went in and through a series of auditions got the part of Rick, who, as you know, had a famous TV death. He was death by satellite. So it's been a fun show to be on, especially since I didn't, plan on it at all.
And it was right up there in your hometown now, which is now Seattle?
Yes.
We have a clip of we have you on Northern Exposure.
Yeah, I think this was from early this season.
Did you get my letter?
I used to pretend I was asleep so that I could watch you flexing and preening in front of the mirror. You had this sad need to be more beautiful than me.
You did get my letter.
You wanted me to look good. I was your trophy. Now suddenly I'm vain. Suddenly I'm self-absorbed. I'm preening. You know, if I gained a pound, 1 pound, she'd take away my ice cream.
That was a stunt belly, by the way, just so you can.
I understand.
And that was a dream sequence, and I've been back.
Right.
I did die, but I've worked just as much since I've been dead. That explains the show right there.
Isn't that great? Is showbiz great? We got to take a little break, but more with our TV siblings when we come back. I can't believe we're out of time already, but I did want to find out from those of you that I didn't what you're up to now, Susan. What's going on?
I make my living as an artist, and it's kind of funny. People, when you're not doing acting anymore, so many people think, "Oh, what a shame!
Bless your
how could you possibly be happy doing anything else?" But actually, in a lot of ways, I think art suits me more because I have a little more artistic control, and I love it.
Good for you. Johnny, what are you up to?
I've just produced a ski video that is out this winter, and I'm also doing some writing, but I make my money with my fast fingers doing a computer consulting and training.
You're a computer whiz. I need you. Kathy, what are you up to?
I'm an actress-producer. I'm doing Love Letters in February up in Northern California, and I'm doing a new animated series called Rockers, where I play a teenager. I never get out of playing teenager.
And we didn't get to meet your baby boy because he was crying.
My beautiful baby. I'm the proud mother of a 22-month-old.
Danielle, what are you up to?
Well, I'll be graduating from veterinary school in May 9th. I didn't count the days. I meant to count the days backstage.
Good for you. We have to leave? Oh, thank you all. We love you. Have a wonderful day. Gosh, that flew by. Room accommodations furnished by the Sheraton Universal Hotel, official hotel of Universal Studios Hollywood. It's the hotel of the stars and so close to the action you'll feel like a star.
Los Angeles and New York for over 14 years can provide sedans and limousines for every special event. BLS Limousine, cars to the stars. Thank you. If you like what I'm wearing, kids, go get it there.
Springer for an hour of talk that'll keep you talking. Today at 11 on KCAL. But first, it's time for Sally Jesse Raphael. Next on California 9.